Okay, one of the important factors about this university is that it's very, very different. It's founded on future principles, not past principles. It's founded on the idea that what we've been doing with education is really training and educating people for jobs they will never have. It's not like it was 20 years ago. It's where now AI steps out of the computer and the tablet and replaces jobs en masse. How quickly? Well, if we look at the Model T Ford and we say, okay, let's go back 100 years plus and say, well, how quickly were cars being built back then? Well, we can look at it and we go, okay, they were being built probably one every 12 hours. But over a period of 10 years, that was reduced to 25 seconds per car. And that's with humans in the equation. A less complex mechanism, but nonetheless less complex technology. So now we're looking at a world where robots are going to be manufacturing robots in factories specifically designed for robots. And that's a difficult place for us to navigate. And if robots coming out every 2 seconds off that production line, which we tend to envisage that it will, for one unit, one factory, we're looking at something like 86,000 robots a day. And it's 700,000 people in the West working out of about 1.2, 1.3 billion in the developed world. You're starting to see that that could be replaced very quickly, perhaps in 4 years. It's just a question of rollout. And now I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's certainly a potential. And it's something you need to start to think about. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO or a janitor. It doesn't matter, because a robot's going to be cheaper than you. It's going to be more effective than you. It's going to learn quicker than you. It's going to be more adaptable. It's just going to replace you, because what is the argument to keep you other than it's just you? And it's probably not a very good argument. It's something like $17,000 to $20,000 to start to buy a robot that's connected to a whole system that can learn in real time and just keep upgrading. That means that that robot can be a brain surgeon as much as a janitor in the same moment. It's just software, whereas you as a human takes years to train. You've got a highly adaptive workforce that, okay, you need something on sales that can do all the sales. You don't need humans. And it was time to get that. But then it leaves this gap. What are humans going to do? You know, it's not something anyone wants to think about, because there's no upside, is it? If you can't pay your bills, you can't earn money, you can't survive without the government putting you on a credit system, which is a social credit system, which is already in place. You can't really go and get another job, because all industries are going. There isn't a single role that a human does that isn't process orientated. Even the creative roles, which there are relatively few, they can now be done by AI far quicker, far more capably. But you can say it's not a real human. And therefore, you've now got the movement of saying, well, I just want to retain a human. I'm going to stay in a hotel for a very expensive price because I'm paying for humans, as opposed to one that's run by a robot. It's a very big social revolution in the next 5 years, and that is a big shift because of the move of AI out of the tablet, the phone, the computer, into sitting in front of you and learning what you do in real time, and optimizing it in real time, and sharing it with every other node in real time. A huge quantum shift. And for you, you've got to think, well, how do you protect yourself? How do you create an environment for yourself that does give you an income while money is relevant? Because as we move to point zero, where all goods and services cease to be of value, because the main factor of the value of a product is the skill and the human that took time to create that, because we've always needed humans. But we now don't need humans to do these things. And there's going to be no new jobs, because if there's a new job, then AI is going to be able to do it. It's just another process. And we've been educating ourselves over 100 years, 200 years, to be process orientated as opposed to be creative. No one's ever paying you for your ideas. And that's suppressed the brain down. And that is the world we live in right now, a very difficult world for people to get their heads around. But it's when there's always revolution, when there's re-evolution, there's opportunity. And that's what the university stands for. Opportunity, because if you increase your brain width, your bandwidth and frequency of thought, and you can do that massively, you can do amazing things. Now, you can take me as an example. I'm not a school brilliant person. In fact, I'm dyslexic. That meant that, my school career wasn't that good. That's why I went to become an entrepreneur, because often entrepreneurs are people who are let down by the school system and have to think over, under, and around things. But that's a reaction to an environment that my brain had to adapt. That's part of the neuroplastic process. Now, your brain can adapt. It's not stuck like a piece of stone. So you're going to have the opportunity to be able to create a new world. No one's ever been able to do that before. And this is what this gives us. It gives us freedom from creating a subsistence lifestyle of having to consume and generate wealth to stay in a house, to starting to realize that things can change dramatically and that our lives can improve dramatically, but we have to want to improve them. And that requires us improving the way we think. And that requires a structural change on the brain, not who you are right now and who you think you are and how you identify within your limitations, but increasing the capacity for your brain to think beyond the known, to have the agility to cope with things that we don't even understand yet, because that's where we're headed as a society. So that's why you can join a university, because it's a movement of people with courses that you can enter into that can give you the ability to help other people. Because the number one industry of the future is becoming better human beings. And for you to be able to do that and be able to train in it is what we're about. Not personal development. We're talking about actively increasing brain capacity so you can go into super creative, super fluid states and be able to navigate the unknown. You can use me as an example of that. What you see on the site is nearly 25 books written by me in the last 10, 15 years because I accelerated my brain from really doing no creative work up until that particular point of that level. I create mechanisms, artificial intelligence, artificial consciousness. I create universities, courses, all sorts of things, an app with 400 hours of audio visual on it. I do it without really even thinking because I'm leveraging my unconscious mind. And that's what I want you to be able to do, because you'll be living in a completely different way. You won't have the stresses of what you've thought were just part of life. They're not. You're not designed to live in stress. Your brain erodes because you're living in toxic stress. You're designed to expand. You're designed to explore consciousness beyond the known. And that is the future that you have open to you. So become a member of the university. Take a course. There are different courses, ones that are opening courses like Neuroadaptive Coach, very inexpensive, will get you to start to understand these complex mechanisms and be able to reiterate them, perhaps even make an income in the short term with them. But if you really want to adapt and increase your brain capacity, then you do the NMA program. You've got a book that you can download called NMA on it. It's a pretty comprehensive book on social evolution, human brain evolution, and artificial consciousness evolution. But it requires you to want more than you currently exist within. And that's up to you. You can grow as far as you want to go, because the more you expand your brain, the more context, the more capacity you can take on. And that means that you reduce the stress right down, and you can start to be someone who's not a victim or a passenger in the future, but a driver.